Were you that person who was afraid to raise your hand during class? Do you want to do the dances on TikTok, but you're a little afraid to raise your arms up above your shoulders? Were you that person who was afraid to party like a rock star, or sube las manos, because same due to underarm bumps? There are many different things that can cause underarm bumps, but I specifically want to speak about pseudofolliculitis barbae, aka razor bumps, or this razor burn, that yes, commonly happens in the armpit or axillary area, but can also happen on the legs or in the groin, etc. Now, there are many different things that cause bumps under the armpits. These range from things like HS all the way to KP being that chicken skin or strawberry legs, which we've actually done videos on before. But when it comes to this underarm area, or if you are someone who has a hairier face because you have a beard, shaving that, removing the hair properly, and making sure that you don't have those little bumps left behind can be very, very painful. And again, today we are talking about the axillary area, the armpit area, because that is what I have been struggling with. But in the past, we've actually spoken about the bikini line. And although we didn't go into depth there, I shared that I was struggling with some underarm bumps. And I want to speak about specifically what I have been doing, because I mean, she is no longer afraid to sube los manos. You see what I'm saying? Look at these armpits, okay?
Look at it! Look at it! Look at it!
I'm just so sad that this happened like fall and not like during summer. Oh no, my razor is falling apart. Hold please. Oh, it's falling apart like my life. Okay, I fixed it. My routine has changed quite a bit, from literally using shampoo and conditioner in my armpit area to the actual razors that I use to shave, using acne products underneath my itty bitty armpitties, as well as using this, which is a hair removal device that has sapphire technology, but it's sapphire with 2 P's, and it's basically an IPL permanent hair removal system, but that is cooling. As you know, I have used and tried some other IPL hair removal, specifically on one leg, and boy do I have updates, because when I stopped using it, I have some updates on that. However, even though it is something I love for my legs, I found that I couldn't use it in other areas or in more sensitive areas, because although it never burned my skin or scalded me, it was hot and uncomfortable. This has a little cold setting. It literally shows up a little snowflake on it. And while I am not a special snowflake, I do appreciate that this does not heat up, but that this uses the IPL technology to basically target pigmentation into the skin and zap it away. It is the Ulike, which we are working with on a portion of this video, but it is not just a Ulike, it is an I like. And I will be speaking about basically what's happening here, why I've been using this since April, and what has happened to my pits when I started using it with a different razor. Before I explain why I'm putting shampoo and conditioner under my arms, we do have to talk about the different things that cause bumps, specifically the most common ones that are related to shaving. We mentioned pseudofolliculitis barbae. That sounds very, very intense. But let's actually break down that word. Pseudofolliculitis barbae. Pseudo meaning false or fake. Follic relating to the hair follicle. Itis meaning kind of inflammation of. And then barbae related to barbers, beards, basically hair that grows across the body. So what this word basically means is the fake inflammation of beard hair. Although for anyone who's struggled with it, it definitely does not feel fake. This is also known as razor burn, basically those bumps that you get after you shave. And it's really annoying. Now there's also folliculitis barbae, and that's a little different because folliculitis is the follicle plus inflammation, itis, and it's normally caused by bacteria, which can happen if you keep your razors in your shower. Whereas pseudofolliculitis barbae doesn't actually have the same bacteria, and it doesn't have that same infection. It just looks and feels irritated, itchy, annoying, and you know, unpleasant if you wanna party like a rock star. Is that actually what happens? Party like a rock star? Is that actually the dance for party like a rock star? I have to go ask a TikToker. Other than razor burn or razor bumps, something else that can happen are ingrown hairs, and these are super painful and specifically happen more commonly to people who have curly hair. And although my hair is currently blown out, I am a curly girly on the natural. When we actually look at our skin and how hair grows out of each follicle, you can see that it is connected to an oil gland, which we know if you've ever struggled with acne, but these hairs basically grow up and out. Now, when we shave or razor them off, we're kind of cutting them like a blade of grass. And because the hair is usually on our axillary or armpit areas or groin or our face, they tend to be a little bit coarser, when you actually shave or cut those hairs, they can kind of be cut at an angle, and that makes them like tiny little daggers. Now, if they just grow out, you're fine. But what happens if they grow out and then curve back in? A motherfucking ouch. That has happened to me all my life, and it is extraordinarily, extraordinarily painful. On top of that, there are also ingrown hairs that literally curl up underneath the skin. Basically, the hair never makes it fully all the way out. If you're someone who likes to get a really, really close shave, meaning you stretch the skin and you shave in the opposite direction of the hair growth, often this can happen, or if you don't exfoliate after shaving, the hair basically coils up underneath the skin and it can't escape. And it often looks like acne or another lesion when it is in fact an ingrown hair. The main thing we are talking about today is this pseudofolliculitis barbae, or folliculitis barbae, basically these razor burns or razor bumps, and what can be used if you are struggling with this, and again, specifically how I have gone from my before to my after. Another thing that we're not going to totally touch on, but that I do want to in the future, is hyperpigmentation, specifically for people who have kind of chafing in the underarm area, or when they shave or do other treatments, if they do get darkness in the underarm area or in the groin area or anywhere else, what you can do about that, because especially if you're putting, you know, things like acids on skin to skin contact, that is not always the best idea. But avoiding some of this razor burn and irritation in the first place can help decrease the chances of hyperpigmentation later on, especially on those little spots that get really irritated. So how has my shaving hygiene changed, and for the better? Something that I wish people would have told me early on is to not keep your razor in the shower. This is something that I did for years, and it first off dulls your razor quicker. It causes rust to happen. It harbors mold and bacteria and nasty stuff that you could then get under your armpits and could cause this folliculitis or follicular infection. And then lastly, if you have a dull infected razor, it's more likely to not cut the hairs evenly, to not do it well enough, and to cause more irritation. I am using these. These are from Billy. I've been on these for like 2 years. It's supposed to be like the female version of the Dollar Shave Club. I don't know. Maybe I'll do a video on them. I like that they ship me the new ones every now and then so that my razors don't get old, but they still get nasty, and I just have very coarse hair, so my hair just grows and destroys razors. If you are really, really struggling, the electric razors are generally better, especially for men or for people who have beards. Using an electric razor can get you a closer shave and causes less irritation to the skin overall. But if you are using like a manual razor or one where you switch out the blades, you just want to make sure that they are sharp and that you do have good shaving hygiene and some sort of a gel or what is technically called a lubricant to make sure that the razor is sliding across the skin well. And that's the other thing, is that some people say that you should stretch the skin taut. Some people say to shave against the direction of the hair or with the direction. I have found that if I'm shaving against the direction of the hair, it is very painful. And this is of course anecdotal. I haven't seen any studies on this, but a lot of people have basically said that if you shave with the direction of the hair, it causes less irritation. If you shave against the direction of the hair, you're going to get a closer shave. But remember, the hair grows from inside the skin. So when we're trimming it from the top, we're literally just kind of cutting it basically at that surface. And if we do kind of get it from underneath the skin, that could actually lead to more ingrown hairs and more curling. So the close shave, while it does feel nice, is not something we should necessarily be going for every single day if we want to avoid some of these issues like razor burn or ingrown hairs. I am still guilty of keeping this in my shower more often than I'd like to admit, but I do keep this out of my shower. I basically put it on like the little outside shelf. And when I do shave, I stopped going against the direction of the hair and I now go with the direction of the hair. And I found that that actually helps quite a bit. But even more importantly is what I use to wash my pitties with. And yes, this right here is an acne face wash. This is from the Ulike. This is the 5% benzoyl peroxide cleanser. This is a great alternative to the panoxyl, which is what I used to use. And it is thanks to my dear Dr. Dre, who got me using the panoxyl underneath my armpits. Benzoyl peroxide basically kills bacteria. That's why it kills acne. But remember, what causes stinky armpits is bacteria. It's the bacteria fermenting our sweat and body gunk that causes that smell. So I've been using panoxyl under my arms for quite a while, and it's worked really well. But because I love this from the Ulike, it's really easily accessible and affordable. I've been using this under my armpits and I love it. And the great thing about this is that anything with benzoyl peroxide is killing bacteria. So if there was anything that's actually causing that folliculitis, this is literally made to kill the bacteria, which ends up working really, really well for me. So this is what I do to cleanse the armpit area, but this is not actually what I shave with. For shaving, I actually don't use a shaving cream. I use the ordinary shampoo or conditioner, depending on how my hair feels. I kid you not. And I've actually been doing this for quite a while, not with The Ordinary, but with other brands. I did have like the D-Fluff from Lush. I've tried so many different like body shaving creams. I haven't found any that I absolutely love. And when I was using The Ordinary shampoo and conditioner on my hair, which I'm not anymore, I'm only using the conditioner on my scalp every now and again. But when I was using these, I was like, this says it's for the body. Where else can I put these? Now, I found that the shampoo is really great. You can see what you're doing. So if you're like trying to see if you got all of the spots, this is a great option. But the conditioner I actually find to be wonderful. It really softens the hair. It lets the razor glide smoothly. And when you look at the ingredients of like a shaving cream or a shaving gel, like what you might use on your legs, if you turn and learn the ingredients, a lot of the ingredients are exactly the same. They're hydrators, they're moisturizers, they're lubricants that are supposed to help this razor glide so that you don't nick or cut your skin, but you do cut the hairs. These have been phenomenal for me. They're also very basic. There's no fragrances, there's no irritants. I absolutely love these. And again, I've been using conditioner for years. I kind of switch between the two. The conditioner I use more in my hair, I feel that it softens my armpits more. Whereas this, if there's like leftover gunk or schmutz in my armpits for some reason, because you know how clothing like sheds and you get like little black pieces of like a dress or something in your armpit. If my armpit's like visibly dirty, I'll use the shampoo one. But either way, this is kind of my little shaving routine. I make sure that I go in the direction of the hair growth. Now, when I get out of the shower, the skincare is just as important. Just the way I would moisturize my face after cleansing it, I want to moisturize my body, yada, 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 yada. This right here is from Dr. Sam. This is the Body Therapy. I freaking love this. The Zit Sticka has some good stuff too. I've been using mini body creams. I've been trying out a bunch of them, but this is the one that I specifically use for my underarms. And the reason why is because this has lactic acid and bakuchiol. It's also got shea butter and niacinamide. And for me, this just hits all the nails. Like, we out here nailing pictures to the wall. We're building the foundation of a house. We are fixing a bridge over the river. Okay, babies? The bridge with me on one side with my underarm bumps, building that bridge to the other side of happy, smooth, happy to raise my arm in class type of skin. This is phenomenal. And what you should look for in kind of an after shave cream is something that A, doesn't burn, B, that moisturizes, because you have just kind of exfoliated. Think about shaving. It is literally a form of exfoliation. But on top of that, you want to make sure that you have something in here that is going to nourish the skin and then prevent the skin from kind of gumming up on itself. Now, this does have lactic acid, so it's a mild exfoliant, but it's a more hydrating exfoliant. And because of this, it actually prevents you from getting like, KP or other bumps in the underarm area. And because it gives you this regular exfoliation, it allows the skin cells to turn over in a regular fashion. The bakuchiol in here is often compared to retinol, and retinol does something similar. I believe bakuchiol does bind to some of the same receptors, but I have found that it's not as potent. But for the delicate, sensitive underarm or groin areas, I find that bakuchiol works very well. The niacinamide in here is also fantastic. As you know, niacinamide is one of our B vitamins, a beautiful antioxidant, and it helps with sebum regulation. It's really great for acne-prone skin, but it's also wonderful when it comes to hyperpigmentation, because it basically tells your body not to not create pigment, but basically says, hey, pigment, don't spread. So if you are someone who struggles with hyperpigmentation and like underarm discoloration or discoloration between the legs, this is absolutely one of my favorites and a top recommendation. Dr. Sam is a cosmetic derm from the UK. She is phenomenal. She has a YouTube video. You have to check her out. And her products, they're literally called the Flawless. They do make me look and feel flawless, I shall say. And my armpits do agree. And that's when I go to this. Now, I have primarily been using this on one armpit since April, but then I kind of started using it on both because I like it. This is an IPL device, and as we know, IPL stands for Intense Pulsed Light. This is very different than laser. This basically shoots light at the skin and looks for changes in color. And you do have to do this along with shaving, but over time, this is supposed to replace the need for shaving because it is permanent hair removal. Now, we've spoken about IPL so many times on this channel. We know that it does cost a lot in clinic, and I do feel that getting over-the-counter devices is a much less expensive option. And as you know, I've had some experiences with my legs, but again, I have some major updates on that because IPL basically targets contrast in the skin. It is looking for a dark, wiry hair against a more transparent skin color, which is unfortunately why it doesn't work for all skin tones and types. And while that is great, unfortunately, when I stopped using it on one of my legs, my hair hasn't grown back completely, but I have like this white hair that is popping up. And I'm trying to see what I can do about that. Now, this one has the sapphire cooling technology, which is one of my favorites because I didn't realize that the other devices that I've used are a little bit uncomfortable painful. Again, they don't burn my skin, they don't leave me with burns or lesions, but they do get warm, and if I use them for more than like 30 minutes, it can be a little painful. Whereas this, I can just keep going and going and going and going. It's not plugged in right now because, hello, I have lights plugged in because I am an actual YouTuber. Wow, wow, I am a professional. But when you plug this in, the on button is on the side, you then press the little activator, and it actually shows you it has a little cool setting, and this has not heated up on me at all. The other thing is that it doesn't get gunky. That was something that the other white device that I used on my leg, it did get a little gunky. I didn't mind it, and it still hasn't burnt out, but this one is completely kind of flush, so no matter what, it doesn't get gunk up in there. What I also appreciate is that this is safe for the facial area as well as the armpits and the groin, specifically because of the cool sapphire setting. Again, why would we spell sapphires with 2 P's? You know what it reminds me of? A dragon. Let me explain. There was this book called Eragon, and I was fucking obsessed with this book when I was in like the 5th grade, and I didn't know that a sapphire was a gemstone. I thought it was the name of a dragon. So whenever I hear sapphire, I think of dragons, and I fucking love it. But outside of books and fantasy land, when we're actually in the real world, the way the sapphire technology here works is for thermal conductivity. Basically the way that heat is transferred or not transferred from a device or an energy source to another material, specifically the material of my armpit skin. Ulike specifically says that their device lowers the epidermal skin temperature from 10 to 40 degrees Celsius. The brand says that other devices get from 70 to 100 degrees Celsius. I really think that's dependent on which brand you're using. I personally have not taken a thermometer or a temperature to other ones or this one or the ones in clinic, but if you'd like me to, I'm happy to. And epidermal, think of epidermis. So we're basically saying lowering the temperature of the skin so that it doesn't cause any burns. And again, I have never had burns from an IPL device that I've used, but I have actually seen some other videos of some other people. And I will say this is much easier to hold. This one, you don't accidentally turn it off because the little button is on the side, and it is much more comfortable on the skin simply just because it doesn't get warm. They did also do their work to get international safety approvals, and that was not something that when I was first looking for IPL devices that I really considered. I was like, it was just not something on my radar. But when it comes to international safety, first off, I want to make sure it's not going to short circuit my electrical wiring, right? I want to make sure it's not going to flip a circuit breaker, which let me tell you, all these lights, you have no idea how often I flip a circuit breaker, okay? Okay. But because of the safety testing and approvals, yes, it can be used on the groin, on the armpits, and yes, on the face. Now, this also relates to the light and how it penetrates the eye area. Do not shove this on your eyes. This is not approved for that. It is approved if you have like wiry, coarse hairs by the beard, if you are someone who is going through a transition, or if you are someone who has wiry hairs that you don't want, or you're a person who doesn't want to grow hairs in one area, but you do want to grow them on another. It's like if you grow hairs right here, this can absolutely be used, but I would say always close your eyes. I do have IPL safe goggles that I've used in clinics. I have those. I don't always wear them. I really should. I try to, and because I have them, I do. I don't think you have to go out and buy special ones though. Just make sure that you are closing your eyes, you know, and practicing safe things like don't shove this on your eyeball, but it can be used on the face. And do keep in mind that if you have these baby vellus hairs, this is not going to target baby vellus hairs, the little white peach fuzz. That is not what this does. And I think that's the issue that happened on my leg. But if you do have the wiry ones, the gnarly ones, that is what this targets. The IPL, the intense pulsed light, literally looks for that contrast in the skin, targets the papilla where the hair grows from and says buzz buzz bitches, and you know, destroys it, sends it into smithereens. But unfortunately, that's why I still am shaving in the meantime, and you still need to shave over time when using this. Although it is a permanent hair removal option, as is all IPL, you have to shave, you have to make sure that you are doing it regularly in order for it to work. What was also impressive about this one is that people saw results after 2 and 4 weeks, whereas other devices that I've used, again, if you go in professionally, you have to go in 6 to 8 times. And when I was doing just one of my legs, I also had to do like 8, 12 weeks to actually see results. And at first I thought it wasn't working. Within the first 4 weeks of using this, 90% of the people that they asked saw that hair density decreased. The hair count decreased by 50%, which was my major qualm on my leg area. And the hair length was decreased by about 78%. Now, what was also great is that they still tested for people who stopped using the treatment after 4 weeks. And that was the biggest thing with my leg, is that I wasn't expecting there to be any rebound hair, which really shocked me. Not in an electrical circuit breaker type of way, but in a what the f is happening to my hairy ass legs type of way. Hair length, density, and the actual count of hair was still decreased, and apparently this is the #1 device in Korea. When I actually look at Ulike, they have been in business for years. They have multiple devices and reiterations that they've gone through, and this is the 5th generation. I don't know if they're working on a 6th. I don't know what would make this better unless it was a little bit more powerful, but already the wavelengths that come out of this one are 550 to 1200 nanometers, which is a pretty good spectrum, and that is very comparable to what's used in clinic. I've been testing this since April. It's kind of been on and off. I've been using it more regularly on this left armpit rather than this one, although I have been doing both since I like it and it doesn't burn me. And the other thing is that you can get it at different retailers. It is sold on Ulike's website. It's also sold on Current Body. There is a beYoutiful code if you would like $70 off. Again, no obligation to ever use codes or links, but if you do, of course, it supports the channel. And if you are looking for something that does have a cool setting, if you're looking to try IPL, this is what I've been using on my more sensitive areas. And I do think we have to kind of go neck and neck with different devices that I have used and tried, specifically about my experience. And over time, I still need to see what happens when I do stop using this. But overall, it does feel like a leveled up version. And it is something that has helped me contribute to my hair removal process, and specifically getting rid of a lot of those little armpit bumps that I was struggling with over the summer. And I think it is so important to speak about how these things actually work together, because I, for so many years of my life, even after working in professional clinics, didn't realize that, like, hey, if you have bacteria growing on this, that can be nasty. That usually, if you like look at your sensitive areas and you see that it's all bumpy, often there is a bacterial component or an infection that could be mitigated by using the right products or the right little devices. And this is something that when I first started shaving, nobody frickin' taught me about. As noted, links for all of these are in the description, as well as an additional $10 off, as well as the coupon code if you would like to try this. And they do have a 30-day money-back guarantee. And again, if you don't like the face wash or the conditioner on your armpits, you can always use them as their intended purpose, as a face wash or as a hair conditioner or shampoo. But overall, this is how I've been treating my little bumpy areas. And it is very, very relieving to be able to do this and to not have, you know, all these little bumps and to not have the pigmentation that goes along with it, or again, the itch and the irritation. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Let me know what questions you have on this, as well as if you would like a follow-up on what can be done for hyperpigmentation in the underarm area. And again, a huge thanks to Ulike for working with us on a portion of this video. A huge thanks to you for being a skintellectual. A huge thanks to The Ordinary for making shampoos and conditioners that I can put all over my body. I guess a huge thanks to Billy for creating these razors. I don't know, I like them, but I'm also like, should I just go buy the Gillettes? Should I just go buy the Dollar Shave Club? I've heard great things about Dollar Shave Club, and I tried to get like the feminine version, and I mean, I'm not mad, I'm just not like over the moon. You know what I'm saying? Overall, remember to stay hydrated, both orally and topically. Remember to reapply your SPF, although I don't necessarily recommend reapplying SPF to your armpits unless you're like out here sunbathing, which you shouldn't be doing in the first place, babies. And always be beautiful both inside and out. I love you, and I cannot wait to see you in this next video. Love you guys. Bye.